All rise. The President of the New York State Bar Association, the Deputy Chief Administrative Judge, and the Chief Administrative Judge of the Unified Court System, the New York State Attorney General, and the Chief Judge of the State of New York. The Law Day ceremony will now begin.
Good afternoon, everyone, and on behalf of the court, my colleagues, current and former Senior Associate Judge Jenny Rivera, Judges Stein, Fahey, Garcia, Wilson, and Piggott, our clerk, John Acello, and our staff here at Court of Appeals Hall, welcome to Law Day 2017. Before we begin our program today, we'd like to pause to honor the memory of a member of our court family who is not with us to celebrate today. So I'd ask you all to please rise for a moment of silence in memory of our colleague and dear, dear friend, Judge Sheila Abdus-Salam. Thank you. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Senior Associate Judge Jenny Rivera.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now, our national anthem, sung by Court Officer Sergeant Peter Robinson from the 8th Judicial District in Western New York. Sergeant.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Sergeant. Please be seated. So we are honored to have with us today the Honorable Eric T. Schneiderman, Attorney General of New York State, who has so graciously agreed once again to co-host our Law Day event and to serve as keynote speaker today. We're also pleased to have with us today President Claire Gutekunst from the New York State Bar Association, who has done such an outstanding job leading the bar with her energy, her grace, and intelligence. Thank you for your excellent leadership, Claire. We also have with us today many friends and dignitaries and members of government, starting with the presiding justices of the Appellate Division, Peter Tom of the First Department, Randall Ang of the Second, Karen Peters of the Third, members of our administrative and leadership team led by Chief Administrative Judge Lawrence Marks, including the Honorable Edwina Mendelson, Fern Fisher, Michael Kokoma, Sherry Klein-Heitler, and George Silver. We have, to our great delight, so many of our appellate and trial level judges here, and thank you all for being here today. Dean of the New York State Judicial Institute, the Honorable Juanita Bing Newton, who to our delight is bringing back the summer educational programs at the Judicial Institute this year. Thank you for the work you're doing in that regard. Former presiding justice of the Appellate Division First Department, Betty Ellerin, thank you for being here today, Judge. Federal District Court Judge, the Honorable Christian Hummel, thank you, sir, for being here. And our friends in the executive branch of government, including Barbara Underwood, the Solicitor General, John Amodio, Deputy Counsel to the Attorney General, Michael Green, Commissioner of the Division of Criminal Justice Services, Letizia Taliaferro, and Sandy Toll from Counsel's Office. Members of our legislative branch of government and local elected officials, the Honorable Helene Weinstein, Chair of the Judiciary Committee, very important to us. Thank you for being here, Assemblywoman. District Attorney Kate Hogan from Warren County, and District Attorney Scott McNamara from Oneida County. Our bar leaders, among them Sharon Stern Gersman, President-elect of the New York State Bar Association, Carmen Pacheco and Betty Lugo of the Puerto Rican Bar Association, Counsel to the Commission on Judicial Nomination, Hank Greenberg, Chair of the Permanent Commission on Access to Justice, Helene Barnett, our friends in the law enforcement community, the Superintendent of the New York State Police, George Beach, Acting Albany City Police Chief Robert Sears, Chiefs Melvin Padilla, Paul Oliva, and Michael Cerrone from Westchester County, and our own Chief Sean Egan. And last but certainly not least, Kathy Sheehan, Mayor of the City of Albany, who lends her support and assistance to organize this event every year. Thank you for that. So Law Day, a wonderful, wonderful tradition. And it was started back in 1958 by President Dwight D. Eisenhower as an occasion to celebrate our democratic society's commitment to the rule of law. And each year, as you know, the American Bar Association selects a theme for Law Day events across the country. This year's theme is the 14th Amendment, Transforming American Democracy. There can be no dispute that the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution has indeed dramatically shaped our nation's history by extending the reach of the Bill of Rights to the states and by shaping and confirming who we are as Americans and the ideals we stand for as a nation. Over the 150 years since its ratification, the 14th Amendment has come to provide important legal protections, advancing the rights of all Americans through its citizenship, due process, and equal protection clauses. Each of us who serve the justice system have pledged our commitment to the uncompromising ideals of due process and equal protection, and each of us, as judges, as lawyers, and as ordinary Americans, know and understand the importance of these protections to our democracy, to our society, and to our everyday lives as citizens. And so today, on this Law Day, let this be the occasion on which we remind ourselves and we recommit ourselves to our responsibility to carry forward the promise of the 14th Amendment by working to ensure equal justice, equal treatment, and equal opportunity for every person, no matter who they are or where they come from. And now, to address this assembly about the transformative path of the 14th Amendment has set for our nation, we'll hear from our co-host and keynote speaker, the Honorable Eric T. Schneiderman.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues. Thank you, Chief Judge DeFiore, for hosting us here at the Court of Appeals. It's wonderful to be here with you and all of our colleagues, Chief Administrative Judge Lawrence Marks, Deputy Chief Administrative Judge Fern Fisher, who will be retiring soon, so we celebrate this Law Day especially with you, and with all the distinguished enough years of service that we can't begrudge you, but you will be missed. and all the other distinguished jurors, attorneys, judges, justices, our distinguished Bar Association president, and some non-lawyers too. We welcome all of you here because, as it's made clear every law day, our commitment to the rule of law and our duty to preserve and promote the rule of law is a special province of American lawyers, but it really is a part of our collective undertaking as a nation. I want to note that I'm joined by several outstanding members of my staff today, and Barbara Underwood, our great Solicitor General, was noted, John Amodio, also Marty Mack, my Executive Deputy Attorney General for our regional offices. And we come together today as a part of a wonderful tradition, but as I will discuss in the context of the 14th Amendment, our laws and traditions are always evolving. And the Chief Judge has made some important changes this year, including modifying the format to shorten my speech, which may be proved to be one of her most popular decisions. But before I go further, I want to take a moment to add my acknowledgement of a beloved and respected colleague and friend who is no longer with us, Judge Sheila Abdus-Salam. Long before she made history as the first African-American woman appointed to the Court of Appeals, she actually worked in the Attorney General's office in several of our bureaus. I first met Judge Abdus-Salam when she was a rising star in the bench in New York County, and I was practicing law there. I actually appeared before her when I was in private practice, and I remember that she had both a great sense of humor and a great sense of empathy, important qualities for an outstanding judge, which Sheila Abdus-Salam certainly was, and I will be among the many, many people who will miss her. And as I will discuss, Judge Abdus-Salam made her own important contribution to our evolving understanding of the 14th Amendment, which is the theme of this year's Law Day. And I want to speak a little about that process and also about how the principles embodied in the 14th Amendment continue to guide my work and the work of my office, particularly as it relates to the rights of non-citizens. So the theme this year, the 14th Amendment, Transforming American Democracy, could not be more timely. Ladies and gentlemen, our understanding of the 14th Amendment really is at the core of some of the hottest debates that we find ourselves in nationally, including the debate over immigration. And to me, the 14th Amendment really reflects an affirmation of a very deep American commitment to building an ever more just, more equitable, and inclusive society. And the really remarkable progression in our understanding of the 14th Amendment and its protections for citizens and non-citizens alike provides an important framework for some of these hot legal disputes which we are facing today and we will face in the years ahead. To me, the deep American commitment to the rule of law for all goes back to the dawn of the Republic. James Madison noted that one of the very unique features of our constitutional framework was that it extended its protections to non-citizens, stating, "It does not follow, because aliens are not parties to the Constitution, that they have no right to its protection." But if the essential vision of a nation in which all persons are protected has been a guiding principle from the founding, it has also been a principle that has faced bitter opposition and resistance throughout our history. In the turmoil of the 1860s, the drafters of the 14th Amendment stepped up to make a dramatic national recommitment to this vision. In 1868, they realized that to end slavery as a system, it wasn't enough simply to make it illegal to buy, sell, and own slaves. They sought to abolish a legal caste system in which, as Chief Justice Taney famously put it in the Dred Scott decision, black people, quote, had no rights which the white man was bound to respect. Now, the 14th Amendment set out to uproot that caste system in several ways. First, by conferring citizenship on all persons born in the United States. And second, and even more remarkably, by barring states from denying any person, not just citizens, life, liberty, or property without due process of law or equal protection of the laws. An earlier draft of the amendment that prohibited discrimination strictly on the basis of race was scrapped and replaced with the broader language that we know today. And as noted by Representative John Bingham, a principal author of the 14th Amendment, the amendment provides that no state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws, no matter whence he comes or how poor, how weak, how simple, or how friendless. You can't get much broader than that in a commitment to equal justice for all. Now, this broad division of equality, as we know from legal history, was often thwarted by racist and nativist obstruction over the next 100 years, but the 14th Amendment eventually evolved through Supreme Court interpretation to protect more people and guarantee some of our most cherished rights, including the right to privacy and the freedom to marry. And by bringing more people into the legal tent of fully protected persons, the 14th Amendment has served as a bulwark against the emergence of new caste systems. And as a part of this process, the Supreme Court gradually expanded the amendment's protections to all non-citizens, documented and undocumented. And at a particularly important moment in 1982, in Plyler v. Doe, the court further clarified the amendment's scope when it struck down a Texas law that barred undocumented children from public schools. Writing for the court, Justice Brennan held that illegal aliens may claim the benefit of the Equal Protection Clause because whatever his status under immigration law, an alien is a person in any ordinary sense of the term. So, as we approach a new set of challenges, it's important, I think, to reflect on the fact that the history of the 14th Amendment, for all of its fits and starts, for all of the resistance and countercurrents, is the history of expanding equality and the ongoing American project of repudiating any form of a caste system that deems some people beneath the protection of the law. Judge Abdus Salam contributed to that proud history. In 2013, she drafted an opinion which held that trial courts must inform non-citizen defendants of the possibility of deportation before they enter guilty pleas in felony cases. The U.S. Supreme Court had already held that defense counsel must advise their clients of the possibility, but her opinion said that was not enough. Trial courts must themselves make sure defendants know about the risk. And in this opinion, not so many years ago, she grounded her reasoning in the most essential guarantee of our legal system, citing the principle of fundamental fairness as the basis for the expansion of 14th Amendment protections to deal with a changing legal landscape, explicitly recognizing that the increasing likelihood of deportation required us to evolve, to adjust the protections provided to ensure that all persons had equal protection of the law. Today, we're facing a renewed argument that because undocumented immigrants are present in the United States in violation of federal immigration laws, they should have no rights that Americans are bound to respect. This has been made repeatedly in courts, in speeches, in social media in recent months. And as in the past, this argument is accompanied by an effort to read the 14th Amendment along with related guarantees of equal protection and due process by the federal government much more narrowly than it was intended. This view and the rhetoric that accompanies it is to me uncomfortably reminiscent of Dred Scott in the sense that it broadly would exclude a class of persons from legal protection. But, ladies and gentlemen, I can state to you today that the state of New York, my office, other agencies have categorically rejected these arguments. And as we stand here today, we are working for what I believe is the true preservation of the rule of law and as interpreted by the courts over the centuries to make the 14th Amendment the living embodiment of equal justice under law that it was intended to be. New York has always been a haven for immigrants, and in her 2013 opinion, Judge Abdus Salam takes us all the way back to our time as a Dutch colony, when uniquely among the colonies we were open to every religious and ethnic group. Today, remarkably, nearly 23% of our state's population was born in another country. We live on immigration. We live on the free flow between countries. And as the lawyer for all the people present in New York, citizen and non-citizen alike, I've been working to uphold the rights of all, along with other colleagues in state government, while ensuring that federal law and policy are respected. My office was the first state office in the country to offer a legal roadmap and model legislative language to help cities and towns protect non-citizens while complying with all relevant federal immigration laws. More important and worthy of applause, communities across the state are using that model to craft new sanctuary policies or bolstering existing policies, and attorneys general in other states are using our guidance as a model as well. So we are ensuring that we can comply with federal immigration laws while providing all meaningful protections. And I should note that our analysis is very much in sync with that of my friend, San Francisco City Attorney Dennis Herrera, who just last week got a very important injunction limiting what the federal government can do to defund sanctuary jurisdictions that comply with federal law as ours do. In New York, we've also challenged the unlawful exclusion of immigrant children from our schools. Over the last 4 years, as accompanied minors have poured into the country, fleeing violence primarily in Central America, some school districts have imposed barriers to registration. My office, along with the State Department of Education and other colleagues in government, secured settlements with 24 school districts across the state, ensuring equal access to public education for all immigrant students. And finally, I'm very proud of the work we did as a part of a coalition of attorneys general around the country who successfully challenged the anti-Muslim immigration ban issued on January 25th, and the same group of attorneys general is now in several courts litigating over the travel ban's second incarnation thus far with success. I have to say this has been the best experience of collegiality and collective work by attorneys general around the country since I was elected, and I'm proud of that work. So, my colleagues, as we consider the 14th Amendment today, consider its deep commitment to this quintessentially American vision of greater evolution towards justice, equality, and inclusion with each generation. It's fair to acknowledge that we're headed for more litigation, testing our commitment to due process and equal protection for many groups, particularly non-citizens. We will also be faced with challenges to communities that welcome them, and we have many such communities in New York. But in my view, all of this debate, all of this litigation is really just an extension of the great American tradition of expanding justice, in short, the history of the evolution of the 14th Amendment. And as we seek to honor that tradition and that history, we're taking our cues from people like John Bingham, Justice William Brennan, and Judge Sheila Abdus Salam, so we are in very good company. It's an honor as your lawyer and as the lawyer for all the people of this great state to follow their lead and seek to ensure fundamental fairness for all. I'm always grateful to be here with you on Law Day, and it's important to celebrate the fact that we have a particular mission as American lawyers to preserve and promote the rule of all for law. When Law Day was first established, President Eisenhower noted that we faced a choice between the rule of force or the rule of law. That choice is before us today, and as always, I'm proud to stand with you in support and defense of the rule of law for all. Thank you.
Our next speaker is our colleague and friend, President of the New York State Bar Association, Claire Gudikins.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chief Judge DiFiore, for your kind words earlier. It has truly been my honor and privilege to serve as your partner. As most of you know, we're right across the street at the State Bar through this year as president of the New York State Bar Association. On behalf of the New York State Bar Association and our 72,000 members, I bring warm regards and my thanks for this opportunity to speak at this wonderful Law Day celebration in this wonderful venue. What better place for Law Day? So, judges of the Court of Appeals, the Attorney General, all the rest of you distinguished guests, as you've heard, this year's theme centers on the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, the most cited amendment in our jurisprudence. It was enacted almost 150 years ago with the purpose to guarantee rights and protections to newly freed slaves. An important purpose, of course, but over time, its scope has expanded through review, reinterpretation, and reinvention by the courts, and in particular our United States Supreme Court. Through application of its Due Process Clause, much of the Bill of Rights now applies to the states, where it had previously applied only to the federal government. The Supreme Court has relied on the 14th Amendment's Due Process Clause to identify and protect fundamental rights involving personal liberty, including rights to privacy and to marry. and has used its Equal Protection Clause to protect individuals from disparate treatment based on suspect classifications such as race and gender, with far-reaching effect. As a result, states and localities now are required to ensure that these rights are not infringed. Now, turning to our state, last month our state passed legislation that, when fully implemented, will have a significant and long-term effect on the criminal justice system here in New York. Raising the age of criminal responsibility, committing to state funding for improvements in indigent criminal legal defense services statewide, averting wrongful convictions by requiring videotaping of interrogations and reforming identification procedures, and allowing the sealing of records of nonviolent criminal defendants who have stayed clean for 10 years. Many stakeholders, including the New York State Bar Association, worked long and hard for those important reforms. And a big thank you to the legislature and to the governor for making them a reality and doing so sort of in an amazing one fell swoop in 1 year. All of those were achieved, and it's really terrific. But what does this have to do with Law Day in 2017? These reforms, I think, reflect the principles of the 14th Amendment, due process and equal protection. Think about it. If an indigent criminal legal defendant is arrested in a county whose indigent criminal services are woefully, severely underfunded, and his assigned counsel cannot appear at arraignment, meet with the defendant, or at least not sufficiently, or properly prepare for trial, then that defendant is not really getting due process and equal protection under the laws. Essentially, you could consider him or her in a suspect classification of the poor. After paying the debt demanded by society, no matter how long nonviolent criminals stay out of trouble, their records classify them as criminals. And this creates obstacles to employment, education, housing, and other essentials of life. Think about, too, how those obstacles can become insurmountable for felons who were only 16 when they committed an offense, or 17. The result is an alternate society of disadvantaged people who have made mistakes, paid the price, but are now not afforded all the benefits of constitutional guarantees. These critical legislative reforms are an important first step. It's no silver bullet ever, but an important first step toward ensuring due process for all and dismantling this type of marginalization in our society. Now, as the Attorney General said so eloquently, the 14th Amendment does not apply only to citizens. Immigrants, even undocumented immigrants, are entitled to protections under our Constitution. And our association has undertaken an initiative to train and match volunteer lawyers with legal services providers around the state. And we are collaborating with the Governor's Liberty Defense Project, which the legislature has helped to fund, to help ensure that all those present in New York, have legal counsel to ensure that they all are afforded the rights to which they are entitled. From its relatively narrow scope, important but relatively narrow scope of affording full citizenship to freed slaves, to its citation as the reason that same-sex couples may marry, 14th Amendment jurisprudence shows how the law lives and breathes. Judge Benjamin Cardozo of New York, who's appropriate to mention here because he was the chief, a great constitutional scholar, opined, "A constitution states, or ought to state, not rules for the passing hour, but principles for an expanding future." So today and every day, we celebrate the principles embodied in our 14th Amendment, which protect our myriad rights into our expanding future. In closing, I want to add my voice to those lamenting the loss and celebrating the life of Sheila Abdus Salam, Associate Judge of the New York Court of Appeals, whose recent passing has saddened and left a huge hole in the entire New York legal community. As the first African-American woman to serve on the court, Judge Abdus Salam was a trailblazer. But her wisdom, her compassion, and her commitment to justice throughout her career as a public defender at the State Civil Rights Bureau and on the bench made her extraordinary. In fewer than 4 years on the state's highest court, she created a justly celebrated judicial legacy, including, as the Attorney General said, her decision in matter of Brooke B., which expanded the definition of parenthood to provide equal protection for parents and children in the area of custody and visitation in New York. I was privileged, as the Attorney General was, to experience firsthand her keen intellect and calm demeanor appearing in her courtroom some 15 years ago. And over time, as our paths frequently crossed at State Bar, Women's Bar, and court events, to appreciate and to cherish her personal warmth and her unfailing graciousness. She gave generously of her time and experience to our association. Just last time I saw her was about 3 weeks before her passing, when she came along with other judges of the Court of Appeals across to a upstate women bench and bar leaders gathering and graced us with her presence there. She gave generously of her time and experience to the association, but also to the legal profession and to the many lawyers and judges for whom she was a mentor and a role model. We are saddened by her loss, but grateful for the life she lived, both on and off the bench, and the legacy she left. Thank you.
Thank you, President Gutekunst, and thank you for the kind remarks about our colleague and friend. Thank you. So now we proceed to the section of the program that I know everyone is waiting for, the presentation of the awards. And to preside over the presentation, I call upon Chief Administrative Judge Lawrence Marks to attend the podium.
Thank you, Chief Judge DeFiore, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Law Day. I, for one, am glad that we're indoors rather than outdoors. So the presentation of Merit Performance Awards to deserving court employees has long been a tradition at the Law Day ceremony here at the Court of Appeals. And last year, we renamed the awards in honor of Judge Kay, and primarily because she particularly enjoyed this portion of the Law Day program. And so we have thousands of employees in the court system across the state. It's very difficult to pick a few on Law Day to recognize, but we've tried to do that this year as we do every year, and I think we've chosen some particularly deserving employees who have distinguished themselves not just over the past year, but over the course of their careers. And the first award is for Maria Barrington. The phrase "grace under pressure" immediately evokes an image of Maria Barrington, who over her 23-year court career acquired a reputation as an adept manager and troubleshooter with a calm, steady demeanor. In her latest capacity as Chief of Staff to Deputy Chief Administrative Judge Michael Kokoma, Maria has provided critical support in the day-to-day oversight of the trial courts outside of New York City, from Long Island to the North Country to Buffalo. She has crisscrossed the state to address the full range of operations-related issues, from financial and human resources management to the integration of new technology to coordination with outside agencies. Holding a variety of court management positions through the years, Maria distinguished herself at every turn of her career. Early in her tenure as a statewide family court liaison in what was then the Office of Trial Court Operations, she played a major role in introducing a new case management system in family court, among numerous other achievements. And she then went on to become the office's Chief of Trial Court Operations. More recently, in her role as Chief of Staff, she has earned high praise from judges and non-judicial employees around the state for her keen judgment, vast institutional knowledge, and unfailing amiability, as well as her finesse in handling disciplinary and other highly sensitive matters. Maria retired last month, allowing her more time to spend with family. While we wish her a very happy and healthy retirement, she will be greatly missed throughout the court system for her immense expertise, can-do spirit, and signature smile. And I would just like to add that I've had the good fortune in recent years to work with Maria, and I can tell you she is a terrific, terrific employee. So in appreciation of her many fine attributes and her long-standing efforts on behalf of the judiciary, we are delighted to present Maria with the Judith S.K. Service Award for Superior Work Performance. Joining the court system nearly 30 years ago as a court officer, Antonio Diaz was quickly recognized for his commitment to quality service and for his leadership, moving steadily through the ranks. Elevated to deputy chief clerk in 2010, he served as the borough chief in Brooklyn's criminal court, and in 2016 was assigned to oversee the criminal court's summons part. This past March, Tony was promoted to first deputy chief clerk, the second highest ranking position in the New York City Criminal Court's chief clerk's office. As borough chief in Brooklyn, Tony helped to bring about technological improvements and streamline operations in one of New York's busiest courts. In the summons part, which processes hundreds of thousands of cases each year, Tony performed a major role in the implementation of several automated systems, among them a text alert system to remind defendants of upcoming court dates, with the goal of reducing the number of warrants issued by the court. While a big proponent of technology, Tony gives equal weight to well-honed people skills in ensuring the highest level of service to all those who come to the criminal court, inspiring other employees to adopt this successful approach. Not one to be satisfied with the status quo, Tony has devoted much of his court career to seeking efficiencies and other improvements in his ongoing efforts to better serve the public. For his many contributions to the court system and his dedication to advancing the delivery of justice in New York, we proudly honor Tony with the Judith S.K. Service Award for Superior Work Performance. A natural leader, Catherine Tisenchek infuses her special brand of enthusiasm into everything she does, no matter what the task. She sets the bar high, bringing out the best in everyone around her. During her more than 3 decades of service in the court system, Kathy has consistently displayed her willingness to go above and beyond her basic duties, to assist her colleagues and to benefit the public. As Oneonta City Court's chief clerk for the past 8 years, Catherine has faced down many challenges. Even with recent staffing shortages, she managed to keep the court running smoothly during its transition to a new automated case management system. Following the court's successful adoption of the new system, she cheerfully volunteered to help implement the system in other courts throughout her judicial district, which comprises the Binghamton area and its surrounding counties. Kathy also found time to maintain the Oneonta City Court's college internship program recruiting interns for the new semester, and working diligently to ensure a meaningful internship experience for every student. With her exceptional work ethic, patience, and adaptability, Kathy is an excellent role model for the interns. In gratitude for her many years of public service, including her countless efforts on behalf of Oneonta City Court and the 6th Judicial District, it is our privilege to honor Kathy with the Judith S.K. Service Award for Superior Work Performance. Last year, Queens County Civil Court Judge David Hawkins was presiding over a morning calendar when Court Officer Catherine Zullo witnessed Judge Hawkins's head tilting toward the bench and the judge falling from his chair, landing on the courtroom floor. She immediately radioed for backup and, approaching Judge Hawkins, noted that the judge was unresponsive. As an emergency call was made to 911, Court officers Bernadette Falco, Francis Ziegler, and Marie Bennett arrived on the scene in response to Officer Zullo's radio request. Quickly observing that the judge was no longer breathing, they began preparing the court's automated external defibrillator for use. The AED paddles were applied to the judge's chest, and upon the machine's prompting, a shock was administered in an effort to restore his heart rhythm, followed by CPR. Then a second shock was delivered, followed again by CPR. Officer Falco monitored the AED as Officers Ziegler and Bennett each performed CPR on the judge, who soon regained consciousness. Minutes later, an ambulance arrived to transport Judge Hawkins, escorted by Officer Falco to a nearby hospital. We are pleased to report that thanks in very large part, to the coordinated efforts of these fast-thinking, well-trained court officers, Judge Hawkins made a strong recovery and is now back on the bench. And Judge Hawkins is here today. Do you want to stand? I had a moment to talk to Judge Hawkins before, and he's doing very well. So we commend Officers Bennett, Falco, Ziegler, and Zullo for their life-saving actions that morning and their professionalism and courage each day in the line of duty, and we are delighted to present them with the Judith S.K. Service Award for Acts of Heroism. So I'm now going to turn over the program to Judge Fisher, who will be presenting the Garfinkel Essay Prizes. But before I do that, I just want to, as was noted, Judge Fisher is retiring next month, and I just want to say that It's been a privilege for me to work with you, to be your friend and colleague. And Judge Fisher's had just a truly terrific career in the court system for many, many years, starting out as a housing court judge in New York City, and then a civil court judge in the city, and a Supreme Court judge. And for a number of years, she served as an administrative judge, including the last 8 years or so as the deputy chief administrative judge for the New York City courts. But perhaps her greatest contribution has been in the area of access to justice, where she's spearheaded many, many programs to help close the justice gap in New York. So, Judge Fisher.
Good afternoon. Chief Judge DeFiore, Attorney General Schneiderman, President Judge Marks, and judges of the New York State Court of Appeals, honored guests. It is my pleasure to present the last time the David Garfinkel Essay Prizes, and it's particularly fitting because this is the 10th anniversary of the essay contest. As you know, this essay contest is sponsored by the Historical Society of the New York Courts for the CUNY Community Colleges and the SUNY Community Colleges. And it helps to engage community college students with issues of today. And today's topic, this year's topic, you the voter, how far have we come, is the journey over, is particularly important these days. Before I move to introduce you to the award winners, I want to introduce you to the two faculty members who work with these students. These faculty members do this responsibility on top of their regular teaching assignments. And it's because of them these students are shining. And so from the College of Queensborough Community College, Professor Christina Mooney. Is she here? And from Genesee Community College, Professor Charles Scruggs. Apparently they're not here today, so students, will you tell them that we greatly admire their service on this project. Let me start with our third prize winners from the CUNY Community College system, from Queensborough Community College, Xian Li. Is he here or she? No? Okay. And our third prize winner from the SUNY Community College system, from Genesee Community College, Shannon Dent. Let's applaud them. Our second prize winner from Queensborough Community College, Joseph Fonataro. Fonataro's topic was minorities and the right to vote. Congratulations. Our second prize winner from the SUNY Community College, Anna Lewis from Genesee Community College. Anna's topic was winning the right to vote. Our first prize winner from the SUNY Community College, Danielle Kinney. I don't believe she's here today, but let's applaud her anyway. And her topic, Black Suffrage, the Continued Struggle. And our first prize winner from the CUNY Community College Prize, Ralph Romanelli from Queensborough Community College. Rouse topic, election district boundaries. These are our stars for the future, and this is just the beginning of their careers, and I wish them well as they complete their education and they go out into life to make a difference in this world. So congratulations to all our prize winners and to the colleges that participated.
Okay, so thank you, Judge Marks, Judge Fisher. On behalf of the entire New York State court system and our colleagues and friends gathered here today, congratulations to each of our award recipients, our students, scholars, for the important work that you all have done and you all will do as we look forward to your bright futures. Also, I want to thank all of our court employees for the important work that they do on our behalf every single day, and ask you to all now please rise as we bring the ceremony to a close and join Sergeant Robinson in the singing of America the Beautiful, and feel free to join.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Sergeant. Thank you all for being here, and good day to all.
I like that.